So we're in Humboldt today. We're at our building trades house for this year. This is the 23rd house that we've done. It's a house that was built in 1915. It was in pretty tough shape, needed a lot of work when we came into it, so we got it all down to the studs. My first impression of this place, we looked at different houses before we did this one, and I actually passed on this one at first because it was such a mess. At one point, a water main broke in the basement, and there was 50,000 gallons of water they figured in the basement. And the reason it got discovered was because the neighbors called because there was water coming out of the basement windows. So it was a mess. And not only that, it really hadn't had much care, much updating before that. And it was just really dilapidated. And the roof had been leaking, and it was a mess.
This house looked pretty rough. It was greasy, grimy, dusty, dirty, and things were kind of falling apart. Didn't look that great. It seemed like it was going to be a lot of work, and it was quite a bit of work to turn this thing around, so it's getting there. So I'm pretty happy about it.
When you walked in, had probably a stairway probably right there, had an old cabinet sitting right by it, and it was just wood all over, old just dried up carpet. And then you go to the basement, and that was flooded apparently. So that just looked in just horrendous shape, didn't look good at all.
Since 1998, the Humboldt High School Building Trades program has offered students the chance to get hands-on training, learning the ins and outs of residential construction. The 2022-2023 school year program tackled a unique challenge, applying today's modern energy code to a dilapidated 1925 single-family home.
I've always been passionate about energy efficiency, and that probably goes back to the college at Iowa Central, and my instructor was Bill McAnally, and he's really into energy efficiency and still is. And so for so many reasons, it's important that we have energy efficiency, and I want every house that we build should be the most energy efficient house on the street.
Conservation is not efficiency and vice versa. Conservation is turn the thermostat down and grab a blanket. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that things are designed properly, sized properly, insulated properly, air sealed properly, and that's the ethic we're trying to create, not the turn down the thermostat and grab the blanket mentality that we were kind of raised to believe that was what efficiency is. Received a contract from the Department of Energy and the Midwest Energy Efficiency Alliance a couple of years ago to serve as the Iowa Energy Code consultant. So we had 2 or 3 people travel in Iowa. Our responsibility was to reach out to building code officials, inspectors, homeowners associations, home builders associations, let them know that we're here. We could train them on the energy code if they needed assistance. There are many communities that don't even have a building inspector to enforce, the energy code. We contemplated what can we do to create kind of a showpiece that we could use video, picture, social media, get the word around the state, rather than our people just traveling location to location, trying to verbally sell the concept of energy code. And we decided that we would try to hook up with Iowa Central Community College, who we knew had a building technologies program. And Dan Oswald from the college taught a group of kids from Humboldt every year to either remodel or build a house. And we solicited some money from a couple locations. The Iowa Association of Energy Efficiency used some of the funds that we had from our building code consultant contract, and decided to kind of go all in on creating this kind of showpiece.
The result was a partnership between the Humboldt County Housing Development Corporation, Iowa Central Community College, and Humboldt High School to build a demonstration home highlighting the latest in energy-efficient building practices and technologies.
So we went with an air source heat pump. For one reason, they're extremely efficient, and the technology is a lot better than it was even 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we were probably at a point where if it got to 10 degrees, 0 degrees, and especially below 0, you were basically running on the backup, and they just weren't as efficient. But now this will run to 20 below. It'll stay efficient to 20 below. So they're a really efficient system. So the biggest thing that we do is we seal the home, and I think that's where a lot of homes run into the problem. They're not sealed up. So what we did on this, we took all the exterior siding off and we took all the lath and plaster off. And on the outside, we sheeted with 2-inch foam. So that gives us a nice thermal break all the way around the house. Then on the inside, we insulated with R21 rock wool insulation. And then one important thing that we do is we seal, in all the cavities, we seal any penetration. So anything from the outside, any wire going up through any plate, any wire going down through a plate, those are all sealed with acoustical caulk.
We show people how cost efficient it is to include high performance features in an older home, and it doesn't have to cost more, which is what we had heard from builders throughout the state. The reason we don't do things the way that we were suggesting they do them is it was going to cost too much. It was going to price them out of the market. And I think we'll prove to consumers that that's not the case.
Well, that's kind of the goal, to get everything energy efficient, so the more you put in, the more you would keep. And like if you were to put in more heat, you would want to keep that heat instead of keep on spending the money and bills and stuff and getting it going. And same with the cool air, you want to keep it in as much as you can. And so the more energy you use, the more you want to be able to keep.
Yeah, our generation thinks more about energy efficiency than probably previous generations.
Digging into it, we were just like, okay, yeah, we definitely need to do stuff like that, because you just right away you could tell there's a bunch of stuff needed worked on, and it definitely needed to be more efficient as a house in general.
You know, the main thing is making sure that the consumer knows what they're getting themselves into. You know, when you're getting qualified for a mortgage, they don't ask you what the utility bills are going to be. We get many new homeowners who call here and want an energy audit because their bills are high, and they didn't expect that. They thought they were getting, efficiency. And when we get on site, many times we discover that it's not the code. Sending more monies to the utilities than we really need to be sending to the utilities. There could be dollars that could be used to qualify for a greater mortgage. Get a 3-car garage instead of a 2-car garage. That's important. Consumers should factor in cost of operating and maintaining that home after they move in. And energy is a big piece of that.
For students, it's finally the moment of truth. Today, they'll learn if their months of hard work have paid off.
So we had a blower door test this morning, and essentially what that does is it tests the tightness of the house, or it's kind of a check on how good a job we did air sealing the house, and checks the energy efficiency of the house. So along with the blower door test, he did a duct blaster test. And so essentially he's just testing the tightness of the ducts, because you want to keep your conditioned air where you want it to go, and you don't want it leaking out into unconditioned cavities or just spots that you don't expect it to go to. The house performed very well today. Our energy tester told me that it's better, or at least as good as some of the new construction homes that he's been into. So that's very encouraging. Also, the neat thing about that is that all these things that I've been talking about all year, about air sealing, about vapor barriers, about insulation, that they can actually see how important it is, and how important not just sticking insulation in the walls is, just making sure it touches on all 6 sides, and sealing your vapor barrier, and just all those things. I really enjoy working with the kids and being with the kids, seeing how they grow throughout the year, seeing what they learned, and then seeing the benefits of what they learned. Most of these kids will do something in the trades, and I'd like to think that that's in a big part due to this.
Demolition was just a lot of fun. Just get to just tear through things, rip it apart, and then just rebuilding it, and learning the process, and just learning step by step on how to do things. It just will really help you out in the future. If you ever want to build your own house, you already know how to do everything. So, because you just learned it from your class with all your friends. So I think that's just really cool.
Just kind of how nice it is, and the transformation is going to be my most proud thing, because you can show them what it used to look like compared to now, and it's completely different.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see where it started from, kind of to look like a finished actual house. It's kind of a dumpster fire in the beginning, and now it's almost ready to sell, so it's pretty cool.
It's really neat to see how far they've come from the beginning of the year. And this is a small community, So a lot of these kids will live here too, so it's going to be something that I promise you that whenever, even when they're my age or older or whatever, they're going to drive past this house and they'll take note of it. They'll say, you know, that was the house that we did when I was in high school. I know that because I did the same thing. I mean, I still drive past the house that I worked on in high school and know who lives there and am familiar with it.